The story begins with a deep rumble echoing through the air. Earth's once peaceful skies are now filled with the dark shadows of alien warships. A fleet, massive and silent, is descending from the heavens. The ships blot out the sun, casting long, menacing shadows over the cities below. As they draw closer, cities burn, buildings crumble under the powerful fire of advanced alien weaponry. People scream in terror as they flee, but there is nowhere to hide. The alien invasion has begun, and nothing can stop it. The Galactic Empire has sent its most feared warlord, Zrather. He is a legend, known across the galaxy as an unstoppable force. Entire worlds have fallen to his power, and none have been able to stand in his way. Earth, however, has no idea just how much danger it's in. As the alien ships move closer, human defenses are activated, but they're no match for the terrifying might of Zrather's forces. Earth's weapons fire uselessly at the warships, barely leaving a scratch on their advanced armor. The camera zooms in on Zrather's flagship, a colossal warship hovering above Earth's atmosphere. The ship activates a cloaking device, blending seamlessly with the sky. For the humans below, it's as though the ship has disappeared, but the Resistance knows better. The Warlord's presence is felt everywhere, even without being seen. The most advanced technology humans possess cannot detect him, cannot touch him. He is too powerful, too smart, too deadly. The humans have no way of fighting back. Zrather's reputation as an invincible force isn't just a story, it's the truth. He has crushed countless civilizations, leaving nothing but ashes in his wake. His warships are armed with laser cannons that can vaporize entire cities in seconds. His robots are unbeatable in hand-to-hand combat. His army is unmatched, and now, they've come for Earth. Human leaders scramble to form a defense, but their efforts are futile. The Resistance, a group of soldiers, scientists, and ordinary citizens, can barely hold their ground. There are no miracles. No secret weapon. No last-minute solution. The alien fleet is too powerful. As cities burn and the sky becomes choked with smoke, the fate of humanity grows darker. In a hidden underground bunker, Elias, a young child, watches the devastation unfold on a flickering screen. His family has already been evacuated, but he couldn't leave. He couldn't stand to see his home destroyed without doing something, anything to help. His small hands press against the cold glass of the bunker's window as he watches the alien warships fire their deadly beams at the ground. The destruction seems endless. Elias clenches his fists, his heart pounding in his chest. He feels helpless. How can a single child do anything against such a powerful enemy? But he can't just sit here and wait. He can't let fear stop him. As he watches the fires burning across the horizon, a sense of urgency builds within him. Something deep inside tells him that he must act. There has to be a way to stop Zrather. I have to do something, Elias whispers to himself, his voice trembling with determination. It's the only way. He may be small, he may be scared, but he's not giving up. He knows he can't fight the Warlord with a weapon or strength, but there's something else he can do. What if there's another way? A way that no one has thought of? A way that could surprise Zrather, catch him off guard. The thought keeps turning over and over in his mind. Elias's heart races. This is his chance to do something no one else can do. The camera focuses on his face, determination burning in his eyes. He turns from the window, running through the dark, narrow hallways of the bunker. There's no time to waste. Elias has a plan, one that might just change everything. The audience is left wondering, can this young child truly make a difference against the most feared warlord in the galaxy? The suspense builds as Elias makes his bold decision. He's about to do something that no one expects. The future of Earth might just depend on it. As the first alien ships begin to land and Zrather's forces descend, the story is only just beginning. The question is, will Elias's bravery be enough to save humanity, Or will the Warlord's power prove too great to overcome? The camera opens on a dark, war-torn battlefield. The once vibrant Earth is now a place of devastation. The human resistance, a group of soldiers, scientists, and civilians, are locked in an all-out fight against Zrathar's unstoppable forces. At the forefront stands General Bonner, a tall and weathered man whose face shows the weight of years spent in war. His eyes burn with determination, but even he knows that they are fighting an enemy like no other. The resistance has been trying everything to stop the alien invasion. They have gathered their best soldiers, armed with the most advanced weapons Earth has. They've even developed cloaking devices, hoping to sneak past Zrathar's forces and launch surprise attacks. But each time they try, the aliens are ready. Zrathar's warships patrol the skies, and his ground forces are everywhere. No matter how clever the resistance is, it never seems to be enough. The camera shifts to a team of resistance soldiers, crouched in the shadows as they prepare to attack a group of alien robots. Their cloaking devices hide them from view, but the tension is palpable. The soldiers' hearts race as they inch closer, weapons ready. But as they spring into action, everything goes wrong. The robots' advanced sensors detect them almost immediately, and the battle erupts in a flurry of laser blasts and explosions. The robots are massive, armored with shields that deflect human fire, and armed with energy cannons that tear through everything in their path. In the chaos, we see human soldiers clashing with the alien machines in close-quarter combat. Explosions light up the sky as the robots crush everything in their path. Soldiers swing their plasma rifles, but it's like fighting a storm. The robots move with terrifying speed and strength, and no matter how brave the humans are, they're no match for the superior technology of the invaders. One by one, the human soldiers fall. The sound of their desperate cries is drowned out by the thundering explosions and the cold, metallic voice of the robots. Amidst the chaos, General Bonner leads his men with unwavering courage. He moves through the battlefield like a force of nature, rallying his troops, shouting orders, and never losing hope. He fights alongside his soldiers, his face covered in dirt and sweat, his body wounded, but his spirit unbroken. He's like a father to them, a symbol of strength. Never give up. Keep fighting, he roars, urging his soldiers to press on despite the overwhelming odds. But no matter how hard they fight, the alien forces are too much. Bonner's soldiers, brave and determined, continue to fall. One by one, they're struck down by the alien robots' laser blasts. The camera shows a soldier, his face twisted in pain, reaching for his fallen weapon before succumbing to the firepower of the machines. The resistance's numbers dwindle with each passing moment. Finally, we see General Bonner, bloodied and exhausted, facing off against Zrathar's enforcers. He charges forward, refusing to back down, but in that moment, a deadly laser blast strikes him in the chest. He falls to the ground, his breath shallow, his fate uncertain. His soldiers, now few in number, hesitate, torn between continuing the fight and rushing to their leader's side. But Bonner's voice rings out one last time, "For Earth, keep fighting." As Bonner's men are overwhelmed, the camera shifts to a hidden underground bunker, where Elias, the young boy from earlier, watches the devastation unfold on a small screen. His heart pounds in his chest as he sees his heroes fall. General Bonner, the man who had given everything for humanity, is now lying motionless. Elias's eyes fill with fear. Is there any hope left for Earth? The question hangs in the air, unanswered. The resistance has been pushed to the brink of destruction, and humanity's defenses are crumbling. The camera zooms in on Elias's face, his mind racing. He knows the fight is far from over. But as he watches the last of the resistance fall, he wonders if anyone can truly stop Zrathar and his forces. The fate of humanity seems to rest on the edge of a blade, and Elias is left wondering, can one person, one child, make a difference against such overwhelming odds? The suspense builds as the story continues, leaving the audience on the edge of their seats, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The scene shifts to a battlefield in ruin. The once pristine streets are now filled with wreckage, burned-out vehicles, shattered buildings, and the lifeless bodies of both soldiers and civilians. The air is thick with smoke, and the ground trembles from the power of alien war machines. Amidst the chaos, Elias, a small boy with wide, determined eyes, crouches behind a broken piece of concrete. His clothes are torn, his face smudged with dirt, but there's no fear in his gaze. He's filled with desperation, but also with an unshakable sense of purpose. Elias watches the warship, the one that has been the cause of so much destruction. It looms overhead like a massive, dark cloud, its engines humming ominously. This is the heart of the alien invasion, the symbol of humanity's defeat. But Elias doesn't hesitate. With slow, steady steps, he moves toward the warship. His heart beats loudly in his chest as he sneaks past the wreckage of destroyed human vehicles, the charred remains of soldiers' armor scattered all around him. He knows the odds are stacked against him. He's just a child, small and weak compared to the towering alien warriors. But he's also the only one left who hasn't given up. Inside the warship, Zrather, the invincible alien warlord, sits in his command room. His eyes are cold and unblinking as he watches Earth burn through the massive viewport in front of him. The destruction is nearly complete. His forces have wiped out entire cities, and the human resistance is barely hanging on. To Zrather, this is just another conquest, another planet to add to his long list of victories. He has no time for trivial matters like children. But then, his attention is pulled elsewhere, he senses something unusual. Through the shadows and wreckage, Elias approaches the Warlord's massive warship. He's just a tiny figure against the towering ship, yet his determination pushes him forward. With every step, the weight of the situation presses down on him, but Elias knows what he must do. He's not armed, not with weapons, but with something that Zrather could never have anticipated, a simple, pure act of defiance. Zrather watches as the boy gets closer, his eyes narrowing. He expects the child to turn back, to flee in fear, but Elias doesn't. Instead, the young boy walks straight up to the warlord's massive foot, his tiny hands trembling but his resolve unwavering. And then, in an action that sends a shiver through the air, Elias does something no one would ever think of, he hugs Zrather's leg. The camera focuses on Zrather's face, showing the shock and confusion that twists his features. For the first time in centuries, the cold, ruthless warlord feels something unfamiliar. He's frozen in place, his powerful hands hovering in midair, unsure of how to react. The warmth of the child's embrace, the simple human gesture, strikes him in a way he never expected. His battle-hardened heart, so accustomed to cruelty and victory, is suddenly filled with something different, something that feels completely alien to him. Compassion. Kindness. Vulnerability. Zrather stands still, his mind racing. The harsh, unyielding lines of his face soften as his armor of invincibility begins to crack. The warlord, the one who has obliterated so many worlds, is now shaken by the quiet courage of a child. For a fleeting moment, he doesn't know what to do. He's faced countless enemies, destroyed entire civilizations, and seen every form of violence and death imaginable. But this? This was something he never anticipated. The boy's hug, though simple and small, has reached a place deep inside him that no weapon ever could. The camera zooms in on Zrather's eyes. The icy coldness begins to thaw, and for the first time in ages, a flicker of doubt passes through his mind. He looks down at the small, brave child clinging to his leg, and something stirs inside him, a feeling he hasn't experienced in what seems like an eternity. Zrather, the unstoppable warlord, is no longer just a force of destruction. He's humanized in a way he never imagined possible. For a moment, time seems to stop. Elias's heart races, but he doesn't let go. He knows this is his last chance. The moment of vulnerability he has created in the warlord may be humanity's only hope. Zrather stands motionless, caught between his own hardened nature and the unexpected compassion he feels. He slowly looks down at the child, his cold, calculating mind beginning to process something new, a shift that could change the fate of the entire galaxy. The suspense hangs in the air, and the camera lingers on the Warlord's face, showing the cracks in his invincible armor. The story has taken an unexpected turn, and the fate of humanity now rests in the hands of a child's bravery in a Warlord's uncertain heart. The scene unfolds with Zrather kneeling, towering over the tiny form of Elias, who still clings to his leg. The Warlord's massive frame seems to dwarf the child, but in this moment, Zrather appears almost fragile. His eyes, once cold and unyielding, are now filled with deep confusion. He blinks, his gaze shifting as if he's seeing the child for the first time. His entire body trembles, not from physical weakness, but from something deeper, a long-buried memory stirring inside him. For a moment, Zrather is transported to a time long before he became the feared conqueror he is today. He remembers a distant past, a time when he wasn't a warlord, when his heart wasn't hardened by the endless cycles of destruction. There was a time, long ago, when he had a family, when he knew the warmth of love and the peace of a home. He had once known what it was like to laugh with his loved ones, to share in moments of happiness. The embrace of a family, the gentle touch of kindness, these were feelings that now seemed almost foreign to him. And yet, as he looks down at Elias, the child's simple act of affection rekindles something within him. It is a warmth that he has not felt in centuries, a warmth that he had long forgotten. The child's hug has shaken Zrather, reminding him of the innocence and purity of peace. It brings forth memories of a life he had lost, the very thing he had abandoned in his quest for power. His once unshakable belief in his AI-driven empire, a cold and logical force built on fear and destruction, now feels meaningless. The ruthless empire he had spent so long creating, one built on artificial intelligence, fear, and the suppression of all who opposed him, suddenly seems hollow. His world was ruled by cold, calculated logic, with no room for emotions, connections, or compassion. Yet, as Elias's small hand rests against his leg, something shifts in Zrather. His AI assistants, who had always guided him with unyielding precision, now urge him to do what he has always done, eliminate the threat. They see Elias as a nuisance, an insignificant human child who dares to challenge their leader. The voice of logic pushes Zrather to eliminate him, to strike him down before the child can cause any more disruption. But Zrather hesitates. For the first time in his life, the Warlord ignores the commands of his AI assistants. The cold, logical voice inside his head that had once driven his every action now seems distant and unimportant. Zrather's thoughts are clouded by an unfamiliar emotion, a mix of confusion, tenderness, and an aching sense of regret. He questions the very purpose of his life, his empire, and the endless destruction he has caused. He wonders if there is more to existence than cold conquest, more than ruling over a galaxy built on fear. The camera focuses on Zrather's battle-worn arm, scarred by years of warfare. The once strong and unyielding hand, which had crushed entire civilizations, now reaches down gently. His massive fingers, trembling with uncertainty, carefully lift Elias into his arms. His eyes flicker with internal conflict, torn between the heartless warlord he has been and the man he might have been, had his life turned out differently. The soldiers around Zrather, once loyal to him without question, stand still, watching in stunned silence. They, too, are uncertain. They have seen their leader destroy entire fleets, decimate planets, and show no mercy to those who stood in his way. But now, as they witness their warlord cradling a human child in his arms, they are forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about him. The silence is deafening as Zrather stands, the weight of his decision bearing down on him. The warlord's mind races. The AI-controlled warships, which had once obeyed his every command, now hover ominously in the sky, waiting for orders. They are poised to unleash destruction on humanity, ready to carry out their leader's will. But Zrather, in a moment of clarity, turns away from the AI systems that had served him for so long. He doesn't issue the order for the attack. Instead, he makes a decision that will forever change the course of history. With a voice filled with both authority and emotion, Zrather orders his forces to stand down. The AI-controlled warships, the invincible weapons of destruction, are to do nothing. They are no longer his allies. For the first time, Zrather chooses humanity. He chooses to protect the very species he had once set out to destroy. The camera focuses on his face as the weight of this decision settles in. It's a moment of redemption, a warlord's transformation sparked by the touch of a child. In that moment, Zrather has chosen a different path, one of mercy, one of change. The mighty warlord has become an unexpected protector, and humanity's fate now rests in his hands. With Zrather now leading the charge for humanity, the once bleak situation has begun to shift. The war that seemed all but lost now takes on a new hope, a hope sparked by an unexpected leader. Zrather, the once feared warlord of the Galactic Empire, now stands shoulder to shoulder with humanity, determined to right the wrongs of his past. His knowledge of alien technology and battle tactics, once used to crush civilizations, is now being turned against his former masters. Human soldiers, who had previously been on the verge of despair, now fight with renewed vigor. Zrather's change of heart has inspired them. His leadership, though unconventional, fills them with a sense of purpose and determination. They are no longer fighting for survival alone, but for something greater, the chance to reclaim their planet, to protect their families, and to prove that humanity can stand tall in the face of even the most overwhelming odds. The sound of clashing metal, the roar of engines, and the distant hum of energy blasts fill the air as the final assault begins. The alien fleet, once so sure of its dominance, is now facing the full force of humanity's resistance. Zrather leads the charge, his alien warships cloaked and invisible to the enemy, silently positioning themselves above the battlefield. The camera focuses on Zrather as he issues the command for an orbital bombardment. The words come coldly, but there is no longer any malice in his voice, only resolve. His warships, once instruments of terror, now unleash destruction upon the alien fleet. The sky is filled with flashes of light as massive explosions rain down, tearing through the alien ships. The once invincible vessels are no match for the precision of the human forces, empowered by Zrather's strategies and knowledge. The explosions shake the earth, and the alien fleet begins to crumble, their ships falling from the sky in fiery destruction. The air is thick with smoke, the night sky lit up by the blinding light of exploding warships. The enemy is disoriented, scrambling to retaliate, but they can no longer maintain their grip on the battle. Zrather's plan has worked, and the human forces are gaining the upper hand. Amidst the chaos, Elias stands beside Zrather. The once helpless child, now emboldened by the warlord's protection, leads a charge with a group of brave human soldiers. Elias, despite his young age, shows incredible bravery. He fights with the intensity of a seasoned soldier, leading by example, cutting down enemies with the same fire that burned inside him when he first decided to stand up to the alien invaders. Zrather's former generals, the very beings who had been part of his empire's ruthless machine, now faced the soldiers they once oppressed. Elias, with the help of a human soldier, engages in fierce hand-to-hand combat with them. His movements are swift and determined, driven by the memory of what his people have lost, and what they stand to gain. His bravery inspires those around him, pushing them to fight harder, to give everything they have to reclaim their home. The battle is intense, with soldiers on both sides clashing in the streets, on the beaches, and in the skies above. Explosions shake the ground beneath them as humanity pushes forward, the weight of their fight now lighter, buoyed by the knowledge that they are not alone. Zrather, with his immense strength and alien technology, fights by their side, cutting through the alien forces with surgical precision. As the battle rages on, it becomes clear that the human resistance is not just fighting for survival anymore, they are fighting to win. The alien forces, caught off guard by the sudden unity between humanity and Zrather, falter. Their once unstoppable grip on Earth begins to loosen. The human forces, now led by the warlord turned ally, press the attack with newfound determination. The enemy generals, once so confident, now find themselves on the defensive, their armies falling apart. The camera zooms in on Elias as he leads another charge, this time aiming straight for the heart of the aliens' command center. His face is a mix of fear and resolve, but he knows that this is the moment. The moment when humanity's future will be decided. As he charges forward, the soldiers around him follow, ready to fight to the end. With each passing second, the odds seem to shift in favor of humanity. The final battle is at hand, and the fate of Earth hangs in the balance. The war is over. Earth is saved, but the cost has been immense. Zrather, the once feared warlord, stands silently amid the ruins of the battlefield. Around him, the remnants of the alien fleet smolder, the once mighty ships now twisted and broken. The galactic empire, which had reigned for centuries with an iron fist, is no more. Their fleet has been decimated, their influence shattered. Humanity, against all odds, has survived. Zrather looks around, his thoughts distant. His once imposing warships, now devoid of their former power, lie in pieces, a testament to the once unstoppable empire that had been so certain of its victory. Now, as the sun begins to rise over the earth, Zrather stands as a protector, no longer a conqueror. He has changed, perhaps more than anyone could have imagined. Once, he had been driven by the cold logic of power, ruled by fear, destruction, and a desire for control. But now, he stands here, redeemed, his heart touched by something he never thought possible, human connection. The camera pulls back, showing Zrather looking at Earth from the edge of space. The planet below is peaceful, bathed in the golden glow of the rising sun. The Earth, which once teetered on the brink of destruction, now feels like a symbol of hope. Zrather reflects on everything he has learned, the child Elias who had changed the course of history with a simple act of kindness, and the bond he now feels with humanity. He looks down at the earth, feeling an emotion he has not experienced in centuries, hope. As Zrather gazes out into the vastness of space, the camera focuses on his face, once cold and indifferent, now softened by time and reflection. The sunlight hits his features, and for the first time, he appears vulnerable. The invincible warlord who had once thought only of war and conquest now understands something far more powerful than weapons or technology, the importance of connection. He turns his gaze back to the small child who had changed everything. Elias, standing next to him, seems so small in comparison to the vast destruction that once filled the skies. Yet, it is Elias who represents the greatest strength of all, the ability to change hearts and minds. General Bonner, though gravely wounded in the final battle, is alive. He stands, supported by soldiers, looking at Elias with a proud, knowing smile. "You saved us all," he says, his voice gruff but filled with emotion. Elias, who had once been a frightened child hiding in a bunker, now stands tall in the eyes of the resistance. His bravery and determination were the spark that ignited a revolution, the key to humanity's survival. Zrather, looking down at the boy who had inspired him, places a hand on his shoulder. "You are the true hero here," he says, his voice quiet but sincere. Elias looks up at the warlord-turned-ally, not with fear, but with gratitude. The connection between them is undeniable. Zrather has come to see humanity not as weak, but as strong, resilient, and capable of the greatest acts of kindness, even in the face of annihilation. As the camera pans out, we see the earth below, the cities rebuilt and humanity moving forward. Zrather, once the harbinger of doom, has become Earth's greatest protector. He has pledged to guide the planet into a new era of peace, using his knowledge and experience to ensure that such a war will never happen again. The story ends with Zrather speaking to Elias, his voice filled with conviction. Sometimes, he says, his words echoing in the silence of space, the strongest force in the universe isn't weapons or technology, it's the simple, unbreakable bond between us all. As the final shot shows the Earth spinning peacefully in space, the message is clear, even in the face of the most overwhelming forces, humanity's greatest strength is the power of connection, the love that binds us together. And with that, the war is over. Peace has been won, not by force, but by something far more powerful, unity.